This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. This is Python's Paradise, your film and music show, and this is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, we have a return guest, my first guest of 2019. And as of right now, my earliest guest of the year, because January 3rd, this is the earliest I've ever interviewed a guest as of right now. So who knows if somebody will top that, but nonetheless, we have the wonderfully talented musician TJ Doyle on the phone with me today. How do you do, TJ?
I'm doing just great, Greg. How are you? I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, well, I don't like the snowy weather we have here, which I know you don't have.
No, we don't have snowy weather, but it's cold for here.
Yeah, well, cold for there and cold for here are two different things.
I'm sure of that. Yeah.
Like, I heard you guys put on the heavy coats when it's down to 50 degrees.
Well, yeah, but it was 38 this morning, and that's almost cold by anyone's standards.
Well, you know what? We get into the minuses here.
Well, I know.
You Californians could not handle it.
We really can't compete with you in cold.
No. Mike Gormley might be able to tell you a bit about that.
Well, he lived there in Canada, and actually I lived in Madison, Wisconsin for a while, so I do know what cold is. And I toured the upper Midwest and in the UP of Michigan and places like that, and I remember being in a recording studio where we had the shower almost outside, and then you have wet hair and it would freeze because your head was so cold, and you're lucky you didn't get sick.
Did you break icicles off your hair?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we did.
I shouldn't be laughing, but
yeah, I had longer hair then,
Well, last year I interviewed you on January 11th, and you were my third interview of the year, and here you're my first, and you got the jump even on the year. So how was your Christmas and New Year's?
Well, Christmas was great. It's always a great time of year because it's almost like you want to have it year-round with the way that people treat strangers. Everyone is so nice. Everyone says Merry Christmas or just Happy Holidays and whatever their persuasion is, but everyone is in the spirit of things, and I think that should be something we could be able to do all year.
Unless you're Billy Bob Thornton and Bad Santa.
Right. That's right. New Year's was great, and it's funny. I woke up yesterday morning and I was like, I have all these things I want to do this year, and I have to remind myself I can only do it one day at a time.
Yeah, well, that's the same.
I wanted to get it all done in one day,
Well, that's the same thing here. I just take it a day at a time. I'm hoping to have a great year for interviewing people this year, and I hope you're a start of a promising year for me.
Well, I hope so too.
Yeah, but I know that I played your song "Anonymous" on here before, and I like that song a lot. So I don't know what airplay is like for you where you are, or how much airplay you get, but in a campus station like this, we're pretty innovative, and that's a great thing about campus radio stations.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, you played Anonymous in your station there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, when I played your interview on here, now I would have notified you, but I never know from one week to the next what interviews I'm going to be airing live on my show, because I do a 2-hour show here, so I try to fix it so I can get either 2 interviews, or sometimes you get interviews that go over an hour, and then you try to get a smaller interview in there, and a lot of times it's a lot of mechanics to try to figure out on the spot what you want to play. But I remember the night that I played your interview, I played Anonymous following it. So
Oh, great.
Yeah, so gave you some airplay. But yeah, what now that New Year's is all done, we got 2019 rolling in. You still working with Mike?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, yeah. He's sent some people my way not too long ago, actually. So, and but you had told me that you have some new material out.
Yeah, I have a song that called Heart's Eyes that was released on September 6th of 2018.
Okay.
And it's getting airplay right now all over Europe and New Zealand and Australia.
Now, why not here?
Well, it's getting airplay on the Radio Indie Alliance stations that are part of, there's about, I think, 16 or 18 of those that are spread around the world, and some are in the United States. And I think I'm also getting some airplay in the South. I get a lot of airplay on country radio for some reason.
You're not going to don a cowboy hat?
No, I don't. I'm not like somebody who wears hats.
You still got the blue blazer?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's a great shot of you with the blue blazer. I'd like to find one of those at some point. So.
Well, I think I found that in Barney's, New York.
Okay. Yeah, because I've got two black ones and I've got a silver one.
Ah.
But yeah.
Silver one, I'm sure, looks really good.
Oh, silver's great. Yeah. And of course I've got, but I'm open to other colors because just blazers and sports coats just look really good. But Heart's Eyes. Now I like the title of that. Now where does that come from? Where did you come up with that?
Well, I'm always writing songs that I want to help people with, and as I did with Anonymous. And Unconditional before that.
Yep.
This is all part of my third album. And Heart's Eyes was actually something that I wrote. Probably all the lyrics came out in one session.
Okay.
And it just sort of, this is something everyone else can experience as well. It starts off with when you wake up in the morning, before you open your eyes, and then it goes through things like ideologies and the things that take us away from the peace that we have inside us. And Heart's Eyes actually was, the chorus says open your heart's eyes, with the idea that you have heart's eyes.
Yep.
And then in the bridge, I go on to say, how would you know your heart has eyes? They don't teach this in school.
Yeah.
And then I say, let the heart be the teacher now. And that's really the idea behind it. It's if everyone were to get deeply into themselves and decide to look from their heart's eyes, make a conscious choice to do that.
Yep.
All they would see is beauty in the world. All they would see is beauty in other people. Now, it takes a certain amount of self-love to be able to do that. You have to put aside all those things those dings that we talked about last time, where people don't even know sometimes when they're children or going through puberty or they're young teenagers, where they get hurt and then they put up a wall. You have to get through those things.
Yep.
Before you can really look through your heart's eyes.
Yeah, the puberty thing is I know I did not learn any of that stuff from my folks. I think I think most people, even my friends, have said that I think their parents relied on schools to teach that stuff, and I think it was Sam Kinison, I think the comedian, that said that school is no roadmap.
No. No, actually, there's a lot of life that is not taught in school.
No.
And there's a lot of life that is not taught or shared by anyone, really. I mean, there are some books that certainly cover a lot of aspects of it, but the real source of material about life is your own life and your own person. And if you can get to where you feel comfortable with yourself, and that means you can experience self-love,
Yep.
You can actually start looking through your heart's eyes. And what happens is you start seeing things that you wouldn't see if you had malintent of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
You start seeing how much more we have in common than what separates us.
Yes. Yeah, I used to be heavily lacking in the self-love bit, and it took me a long time, and actually it was amazing for me what it took, because I actually, and I've shared this story quite a few times on here, but I ended up giving myself a makeover, and it was amazing just by doing that, how much it boosts my self-confidence, and my friends and family have all noticed a major change, because I used to be heavily self-hating.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, you understand what that felt like and how different you feel now.
Well, for me, I was always depressed about the fact that I couldn't connect with women in any way, and that bothered me for a long time, and affected how I felt about myself. And I remember, like, one of my favorite movies is Saturday Night Fever, and I just love that image of John Travolta walking down the street with the paint can, and he's got wearing the black, and he's got the red shirt. And I remember I was walking through the mall one day, and I saw the red shirt in a clothing store. And it's like I made a decision right there. I need to make a change. And I just walked in. As of now, I've got shirts, dress shirts of every color. And I've got 2 black blazers, and I got a silver one. And it didn't land me a girlfriend, which is fine, because it gave me something even better. I ended up getting my self-respect. My confidence grew tenfold from it, and I'm able to go places and not have to force expectations out of people. I'm able to be me. I'm able to be comfortable around people, and
that's good.
Yeah,
very good.
And I've told people that, why not try a makeover? And I don't know how many people don't listen. In fact, I was talking to somebody recently who said, so all I have to do is get a blazer? And I'm like, no, that person totally didn't listen.
The makeover you made was inside you, right?
Yeah.
And outside you.
Yeah.
And actually, that, as you continue down that path, that self-love is not something that happens overnight. It happens over time.
Yeah.
But once you truly have it, and without a doubt have it.
Well, I know I was talking.
You might be meeting more girls because they can, if you love yourself, you're more lovable.
Yeah, but now I don't care about meeting women now. I think the fact that I got my confidence, this is the weird thing, is I didn't expect this out of it. Now I'm comfortable. I mean, if I meet somebody, I meet somebody. If I don't care. You know, I that's where I am now, and I'm happy with it. And I find that I think my friends, they're very supportive of me, but I know before I was so self-hating that it was hard for them to be around me. So here I am now. I don't necessarily even have to wear my dress clothes anymore. I can wear my earlier street attire, and I'm fine, you know. And I prefer that. I prefer that.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. But that's my story. Not that I'm trying to get off on me, but that is how I did it. Now, I think most people, when I mention that, they think they got to spend money on a big wardrobe. No, not necessarily. But I just found it helped me number one, if I take the time to do that, and obviously I'm investing in something that's hopefully going to help me, and it did in the long run. So there you go.
Well, you know, I have a friend that kind of talks to me once in a while, and he says things like he'll never be happy. He can think of a lot of reasons why he everything is not good, and I've naturally tried to help turn him around in a way. And part of what he was doing is we're so powerful that if we say something like "I'll never be happy" and mean it.
Yeah. And you know what? I used to say the same thing.
We'll create a condition that will never let us be happy.
Yep.
Until we somehow change that. And the way you change that is you start cherishing the time you have with yourself, and you start being good to yourself.
Yep.
You start doing things that you would maybe want someone else to do, but you do them joyfully with yourself.
Yeah.
At some point, you're able to reach out and communicate with others.
Yep. No, I find that low self-esteem is a major killer in society, you know, so, and it's not looked upon enough, especially nowadays with cyberbullying and stuff like that going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gotten kind of worse, but I don't know. I find I'm in a happier place, and I'll tell you something, 10 years ago, I would have called a person a liar if they told me I was going to be in the state I am now. So there you go.
Well, that's great.
That is great. So I don't know what will help your friend. I know I suggested a makeover to somebody and they didn't take my advice. And you know what? If they want to be down on themselves, I can only do so much. I told them what helped me. And I can tell you my friends and family can attest to the fact that they've seen a massive change in my outlook on myself and life and others.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. But you got a third album coming out. Now, how long did this album take for you to put together?
Well, it's taking longer because I really want this one to be my best album. And, you know, the first album was when you took a long time because you're learning how to finish songs. The second album, we knew what we were doing. We had a good team together to make sure it was a great album. Mm-hmm. And this third album, I'm really writing differently, and I'm writing better. And when I write a song, it's almost finished.
Okay.
And I produced Heart's Eyes. The producer I was working with was not well for a while, and so I ended up getting all the tracks together and getting all the music together, and I ended up mixing it and getting it mastered, and I produced it.
So you got a song called Heart's Eyes, and the album's called Heart's Eyes as well?
No, it's a song.
Okay.
It's a song off the third album, which I have not yet named.
Oh, okay.
And it goes with Anonymous and Unconditional. Those
Okay.
are the 3 songs from the upcoming third album.
Oh, Anonymous. Oh, so Anonymous hasn't been released yet, huh?
Well, it's been released, but as a single.
Okay.
But it hasn't been released in an album yet.
Okay.
And Unconditional was released as a single also.
Okay.
But it hasn't been released.
Because I know I played your stuff based on what I've seen on online, so yeah.
Well, my first album was called One True Thing.
Okay.
My second album was called On the Horizon.
Okay.
The last song I wrote on that was the title track, On the Horizon.
Okay.
So the 3 songs we went to LAFX Studios to record basic tracks on were Unconditional, Anonymous, and a song called The Watcher.
Okay.
And then I've written, I have 9 songs now, besides these, that I'm going to finish up. And so I'm probably on the start of my 4th album.
Well, why not? Why not? If you can do it, go for it.
Yeah, but because I have all these relationships with the musicians, and they have their own studios.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to decide which bassist I want to use and which drummer I want to use, and so I'm coming up with some music that's a little different.
Absolutely. So you seem to find it easy to write music. Some people don't find it easy.
Well, I have this thing where I feel a song hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do feel it, I pick up my guitar maybe a couple days later.
Okay.
And I come out with a full verse and chorus.
Okay.
And then once I have that, I can easily write another verse and a chorus and a bridge. So that's happened. I have 2 songs that I've written in the last 4 weeks.
Okay.
That now I'm very excited about.
So you write a lot of music about a lot of songs about the human condition. Is that something that you're just constantly aware of?
You get deeper and deeper into it as your life unfolds. I think that's probably the best way to look at it.
And not that I want to get political, but with the way things are going, yeah, the human condition needs a little Band-Aid of sorts.
Well, I think there's a place for art, regardless of what's going on politically.
Yeah.
and I'm not a political person in that I don't give it attention.
No, the media does too much of that. They're constantly throwing it up in everybody's attention span.
So I don't pay attention to media.
No.
Because of that.
Yep. But out of the 3 albums, which one was the hardest to write?
Well, the first one took the longest to make.
Okay.
Because I started writing in 95. In 95, I wrote Earth is Crying.
Okay.
So that album didn't come out until 2009.
Oh.
But
that is a long time. 14 years.
I had a lot of songs, that I'd written. So it was kind of easy to put it together once I finally did. The second album I wrote specifically for the second album. And I had an A&R person that helped me choose the material and organize it.
Okay.
Because I wanted to function like a real record company.
Yes.
And then this third album, I think it's been pretty easy to write all along.
Well, you seem to just come off right naturally.
Yeah, well, I have a lot to say, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it just comes out, and I end up with another song. Like, I was surprised that I wrote 2 songs in the last month.
There you go.
When I had enough to finish this album, but.
So, what makes this album different from your previous 2, or is there? Well,
one of the differences is that my guitar is actually featured more in this this album.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're playing differently. My players are playing differently because they're feeling my feel.
Yeah.
And it's more. I guess we're more in touch, like a band.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Is that your favorite instrument to play? Is guitar?
Well, that's the one I'm most adept at playing.
Okay.
I do play piano, and I just actually wrote a song on the piano.
Okay.
It's a ballad, and that's one of my last 2 songs that I wrote.
Okay.
The other song is a very big, like rock type song.
Okay. Well, you know that's nice to have a little variety in the album.
Yeah.
That way you can pull out that cowboy hat and do country.
Well, you know, it's funny. Country audiences seem to like it in Europe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's American music, and so I mean, if you think about country, American country in Europe.
Well, I kind of like the idea of you doing a rock style song.
Yeah, this one song is it's called "Are You Listening?"
Mm-hmm.
And it's a faster song than any other song, and I already have a keyboard on it. And it really pops.
So, what made you want to do a rock style song?
Well, actually, I have a couple of them.
Okay.
Another one is not quite as fast as this one, but it's called "The Ancient Wind."
Okay.
And that's the environment. That's the Earth song in this one.
Where can people get your albums? Because I was not aware that you had 3 albums, and I'd like to know where people can.
Well, you can get them on Amazon or iTunes.
Okay.
They're all on iTunes, and actually, there's only 3 singles now on iTunes from the 3rd album because the album hasn't been put together yet.
And the 3 singles are Anonymous, Heart Size, and Unconditional?
Yep.
Okay. Which one have you been getting the most feedback on?
Well, you know, it's funny. I've gotten great feedback on all 3 of them.
Okay.
Anonymous is getting a lot of airplay still.
Mm-hmm.
All over Europe and New Zealand and Australia.
Okay.
And so is Unconditional.
Well, I think it's great you're getting airplay in those places because we live in a place like it's hard, for example, to see foreign films get a wide distribution, you know, mm-hmm. and we see so much of what's presented in North America. It's always great to see something excel from somewhere else, or something here excel somewhere else. I've often said about filmmakers here in Fredericton, I said, you know, it's great to have your friends show up and cheer your movie on, but how well will your movie do in the States? How well will your movie do in Europe or Australia or places like that? And to bring all those other foreign places into play, that's a big thing. So the fact that you've got that market, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't really have specifics. I know how many stations are. It's been on. Like Heart Size, for instance, was on 580 stations last week.
Mm-hmm.
And there's stations probably like yours. There's college stations. There's there's commercial stations, and the way I've known the impact of it is I've ended up on a top 200 chart in Europe twice in the last year.
What singles?
No, it was me as an artist.
Oh, just you as an artist, okay.
Yeah, one time I think I was 160, and then I got up to 48 or something like that the second time.
Okay. Well, you, of course, are under management by Mike Gormley, of course, whom I'm familiar with, and he sent me a lot of musicians. Have you ever performed with any of them?
No, I've not performed with any of Mike's other artists.
Okay.
I performed with my own band, and we actually performed for 2 full years after my second album.
Okay.
And then I took a break to finish my third album.
Okay, where did you meet your bandmates? Did you just meet them through the music industry, or are they people that you grew up with, or what's the story there?
They're all met through people I play with.
Oh, okay.
So actually, Phil Piano helped me put my band together.
Okay.
And then I found a guitarist that I had worked with on a video.
Okay.
I asked him to be in the band, and he had the time to do it.
All right.
We rehearsed weekly on Monday nights, which was usually a good night for everyone.
Okay.
And we did it for 2 years.
Okay.
So we were very tight when we would perform.
All right. Where do you guys like? Where's a favorite place you guys like performing?
Well, we performed. Played at the Roxy. We played at the Whiskey a lot. The Whiskey a Go-Go.
Okay.
Molly Malone's is another one. And we played at the Mint in L.A. Several times.
I've never been out to L.A. before. I know I've had guests tell me that I gotta get out there, but I'm outside the movies. I'm not privileged to the L.A. scene, so I guess it's compared to here pretty wild.
Well, there's certainly a lot of music here. I think one of the things in my favor is that I have my own style.
Mm-hmm.
And so having my own style gives me a little bit of an edge.
Yes.
When you're trying to imitate someone else, it's not like your own idea. And but it takes longer for people to be able to understand what your music means, or to get the exposure for people to have a chance to interact with your music when you have your own style.
Well, we got the whole year ahead of us. I was wondering, what are some of the plans you hope to accomplish here this year? I know that's a wide spectrum question, but you must have an idea of where you hope that 2019 will take you.
Well, one example would be Spotify.
Okay.
Last year we had negligible streams on Spotify, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
We were getting lots of airplay around the world, but not on Spotify.
Okay.
So now this year in the last, I've had something like 7,000 or 8,000 streams in the last week, 7 days.
On Spotify?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the change?
That I have a distribution company that's working Spotify now.
Okay.
And now you're familiar with the Radio Indie Alliance?
I know what it is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was able to stay in their top 40 every week for the last year.
Oh, fantastic.
And I was actually in the top 5, more than half the time, in the top 10 almost the other half of the time, and there's been a few in the teens. But so I've consistently done that, and I've had quite a few number one records with that too. And this is playing music from my first, second, and third album.
Fantastic.
So what I want to do is get all those plays from all those albums on to Spotify.
Okay.
Because obviously there's an audience interested in my music, but with the Radio Indie Alliance, you can't quantify that.
No.
So you can quantify it if it's on Spotify.
Well, I hope that works out for you. I don't know if I asked you this before, but how many different instruments do you play?
Well, I play mostly guitar, electric, and acoustic guitar.
Okay.
And I write with a piano. I don't perform with it.
Okay.
But my friend Phil Parla Piano, which is his last name, he has piano in his last name, and he's a great pianist.
Okay.
And he's a great keyboard player.
Yep. Did that inspire him to become a pianist? His name?
Well, he grew up here in L.A., not too far from Studio City Sound. And he used to walk by there, hoping he could grow up and play in that place.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty famous studio at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And his last name had piano in it, so I guess he plays accordion and piano. He plays guitar also.
I never heard of that. Somebody piano in their name.
Well, it's an Italian name.
Okay. All right. So this album, again, you don't have a name on it, but you got a single, Heart's Eyes. And so far it's playing well, right?
Yes, it is.
That's good. But do you got a web page that people can look you up on?
Yeah, I have everything under TJ Doyle Music.
Okay.
And so my website is www.tjdoylemusic. My Facebook page is Facebook.com/TJ Doyle Music 1. That's my personal page. The other one is Facebook.com/official TJ Doyle Music. But I've branded everything around TJ Doyle.
It was great having you on here as my first guest of 2019. And what a way to start off. And you say you're going to have how many songs on this third album?
Well, there'll be at least 10.
At least 10?
Yeah.
So you've had 3 singles so far. You go release, how many you hope to get out?
Well, there's 7 more that I'll put on this album.
Yeah, but I don't know how the music scene works so much now. It's like when I know growing up, you an album would come out and you'd have 4 or 5 singles come off it, and then they go on tour, and then they take time off before doing a new album. So it's quite a bit different now because of social media and whatnot. Because back in when I was younger, they didn't have Spotify and whatnot. So how would you describe, in your experience, how everything has changed?
Well, I think you're right. When I was growing up, that's what bands did. They created an album. If they had tour support and they had booking agents and all that, they would go out on tour. They would make money from that, and then they would end up back in the studio creating another album. And what's changed is record companies have fewer artists, and there's a lot more independent artists, and of course there's anybody who has a Pro Tools and an instrument can start making music.
Yeah.
What I've always done is I've tried to make my music as comprehensive as you'd ever see by having outside producers really good engineering that makes music sound very professional.
Yes.
And then, we're working hard to get the word out, because the more people who seem to hear my music like the music. So we just need to have more stations play it. I think when the album is done, we'll probably end up getting a radio promotion company that would get us into a lot of college radio stations in the U.S. and onto Sirius XM.
Oh, there you go. That's the way to go. Well, you know what? I find this is one thing I've heard. I heard a lot of artists, they find they make most of their money on tour as opposed to album sales.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, people are not buying albums as much as they're streaming now. And so that, you could think of $10 a head for albums. There's not as many people doing that now. So most of people are streaming.
And I'm very old school. I prefer to purchase an album as opposed to go online,
Well, I am too. I mean, when I like music, I buy an album, and I like to listen to music that's put together into an album.
There you go.
Usually there's a thought behind the album, and from album to album there's a different thought process behind it. So it's kind of fun to follow along.
Well, that's perfect. Well, now we know where we can get your music. Hopefully that'll increase for you. And again, plug your website again for us.
It's tjdoylemusic.com.
Perfect. Yes. Well, TJ, anything else you want to add before we close off?
Well, I just want to thank you, Greg Gilbert, for your great questions, and I will always look forward to talking to you. I'll be happy to talk to you again when I have another single or another album out.
Well, yeah, we can do that, absolutely.
It might be January 3rd next year.
Well, I tend to do that. I like to, when the only time I have artists on twice a year is if they're in collaboration with somebody else. But usually, if somebody, because I love to be able to incorporate them in as many years as I can.
Sure.
Yeah. That way, sure. If you got new stuff out next January, why not? I'm open to starting 2020 out with you on the airwaves. So why not?
Well, I might have, if not a full album, I might end up doing an EP or something like that by next January.
Oh, that would be great.
And then we'll maybe turn this album into like 2 or 3 EPs.
Is that a first you've done that?
Yeah, and I would only do it because most people are streaming now. And what's interesting is that I've had, on the Radio Indie Alliance, I've had every song on my first album and my second album, charting on their cumulative chart for the last year. So.
Okay. Well, you know what? I hope that process works for you. And yes, absolutely. No, we're in touch on Facebook. Keep me in the loop. And next year, next January, if you want to come back on, you're more than welcome.
Well, great. I will definitely keep you in the loop.
Yes, absolutely. You want to do a plug for my show before we close off?
Absolutely. Okay.
Yes.
Well, this is TJ Doyle, and I'm very happy to be speaking with Greg Gilbert of Python's Paradise.